Hi kiddos, I'm back to share some more stories with you this week. This week we are going to read some of my very favorite stories. They are folk tales. Folk tales are a type of story that usually has animals as their characters, and they are stories that have been passed down. So somebody told it a long time ago, and then that person told it to another person, and another person, and another person, and sometimes they've changed a little bit depending on who is telling the story. So we'll read a few different versions of each of these folk tales and see if we can pick out the differences. While I'm reading these stories, I do want you to think about these story elements. I want you to think about the characters. Who is this story about? Think about whether they're animals or people, whether they're realistic characters or make-believe characters. I want you to think about where the setting is. Remember that the setting is where the story takes place. Does it take place in a city, in the country? Can also be what time of day it takes place, what season it takes place. All of those things are part of the setting. Then we've got the problem. Something is going wrong in the story. Try to see if you can pick out what is going wrong. The events are the things that happen. Usually we can think about it as what happens in the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. And then at the very end, there's a solution. This problem that we learned about will get fixed at the end of the story. So be thinking about all of those things while I read today's folk tale, which is Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Ready? Once there was a little girl called Goldilocks. What a sweet child, said someone new in town. That's what you think, said a neighbor. One morning, Goldilocks' mother sent her to buy muffins in the next village. You must promise not to take the shortcut through the forest, she said. I've heard that bears live in there. I promise, said Goldilocks. But to tell the truth, Goldilocks was one of those naughty little girls who do exactly as they please. The signs say, shortcut, danger, very risky, not a good idea, turn back, go the other way. Meanwhile, in a clearing deeper in the forest, in a charming house all their own, a family of brown bears was sitting down for breakfast. Patooey! Cried big old Papa Bear. This porridge is scalding. I've burned my tongue. I'm dying! Cried Baby Bear. Now really, said Mama Bear, who was of medium size, that's quite enough. I know, said Papa. Why don't we go for a spin while the porridge is cooling? Excellent, said Mama Bear. So they got on their rusty old bicycle and off they went. Tra-la-la. A few minutes later, Goldilocks arrived at the bear's house. She walked right in without even bothering to knock. On the dining room table were 3 inviting bowls of porridge. I don't mind if I do, said Goldilocks, helping herself to the biggest bowl. But the porridge in the biggest bowl was much too hot. Patooey! Cried Goldilocks, and she spat it out. Next, she tasted the porridge in the medium-sized bowl, but that porridge was much too cold. Then Goldilocks tasted the porridge in the little bowl, and it was just right, neither too hot nor too cold. In fact, she liked it so much that she gobbled it all up. Feeling full and satisfied, Goldilocks thought it would be great fun to have a look around. Right away, she noticed a lot of coarse brown fur everywhere. There must be kitties, she said. In the parlor, there were 3 chairs. I don't mind if I do, she said, climbing into the biggest one. But the biggest chair was much too hard, and she just couldn't get comfortable. Next, she sat in the medium-sized chair, but that chair was much too soft, and she thought she might never get out of it. Then Goldilocks sat in the little chair, and that was just right, neither too hard nor too soft. In fact, she liked it so much that she rocked and rocked until the chair fell completely to pieces. Now all that rocking left Goldilocks quite tuckered out. I could take a little snooze, she said. So she went to look for a comfy place to nap. Upstairs were 3 beds. I don't mind if I do, said Goldilocks, and she got into the biggest one. But the head of the biggest bed was much too high. Next, she tried the medium-sized bed, but the head of that bed was much too low. Then Goldilocks tried the little bed, and it was just right. Soon she was all nice and cozy and sound asleep. She did not hear the bears come home. Uh-oh. Can you predict what's going to happen next? The 3 bears were mighty hungry, but when they went in for breakfast, they could scarcely believe their eyes. "Somebody has been eating my porridge," said Papa Bear. "Somebody has been eating my porridge," said Mama Bear. "Somebody has been eating my porridge," said Baby Bear, "and has eaten it all up." In the parlor, the 3 bears were in for another little surprise. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said Papa Bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said Mama Bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said Baby Bear, "and broken it to smithereens." The 3 bears went upstairs on tiptoe, not knowing what they would discover. At first, everything seemed fine, but then Papa Bear lay down on his big brass bed. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," he cried, and he was not amused. "Egads!" cried Mama Bear, "someone has been lying in my bed." "Look!" cried Baby Bear. "Somebody has been lying in my bed, and she's still there." Uh-oh. "Now see here," roared Papa Bear. Goldilocks woke with a start, and her eyes nearly popped out of her head. But before the bears could demand a proper explanation, Goldilocks was out of bed, out the window, and on her way home. "Who was that little girl?" asked Baby Bear. "I have no idea," said Mama Bear, "but I hope we never see her again." And they never did. All right. Could you pick out who the characters were? There were 4 main characters. Think about who those characters would be. Did you think of Goldilocks, Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear? There was also Goldilocks' mom, who was a character, but we only saw her for a little bit. What about the setting? Where did this story take place? Mostly it took place in the forest, right? In the bear's house. And the problem was Goldilocks decided it was okay to walk into somebody else's house and do as she pleased. That wasn't a very nice thing to do. The events: first she ate all their porridge, then she sat in their chairs, then she went upstairs and laid in their beds. Then when they came home, they got mad because they saw somebody had been in their house. And how did they solve the problem of Goldilocks being in their house? They woke her up and scared her, and she ran away and never came back again. Folktales also usually teach a lesson. So I wonder if you can think about what the lesson in Goldilocks and the 3 bears would be. What did the person who told this story want us to learn? I think maybe they wanted us to learn to listen and follow directions, and to be polite, not go into other people's houses unless we're invited. Those are some pretty good lessons. I hope you like this story. We'll read another one tomorrow. See you soon. Bye.